Welcome to Monk's Temple. There is a silence beneath the noise of your day. It's not an empty silence, but a full, alive stillness that your body has known since your very first breath. Your mind has just been too busy to remember it's there. Wherever you are right now, maybe feeling the day's weight still on your shoulders, the hum of a screen, the last light in the room, I invite you to simply notice. Notice the pause between your thoughts. That tiny, almost imperceptible gap. In that gap, you are already free. Nothing needs to be solved. Nothing needs to be added. This isn't about putting another task on your endless list. It is about discovering what exists beneath the list. For over 2.5 millennia, the wisdom flowing from Buddhism hasn't offered an escape from life, but a way to inhabit it so completely that the need to escape simply dissolves. The Buddha was not a deity. He was a human being who discovered a profound, practical framework for understanding the human mind. He found that our deepest peace isn't manufactured, it's uncovered. And the tool for this uncovering is closer than your next thought. It is, literally, your next breath. Let me share a story with you. I once met a concert violinist. Her technique was flawless, her performances could silence an entire hall. But in the wings, she was fractured. Her hands didn't shake from nerves, but from a constant, low-grade terror. She told me she felt like a beautifully crafted instrument herself, polished and resonant on the outside, but hollow and echoing with fear on the inside. One afternoon, in a moment of sheer desperation, she did something radical. She didn't practice her scales. She sat in her studio, placed the violin in her lap, and just breathed. She focused not on the music she had to produce, but on the sensation of her own body resting in the chair. She noticed the feeling of the wood against her skin, the curve of her own spine, the quiet rhythm of her heart. For 10 minutes, she didn't play a note. She later told me, in that stillness, I wasn't a violinist waiting to perform. I was a person, sitting in a quiet room. And for the first time in a decade, that felt like more than enough. That subtle but monumental shift from doing to being was her first true taste of freedom. It didn't erase her anxiety, but it gave her a ground to stand on that wasn't defined by it. If this idea of finding solid ground within your own experience resonates with you, I gently invite you to subscribe to Monk's Temple. Here, we move beyond mere discussion to build the practical, gentle bridges that lead from understanding into lived, daily experience. Your subscription is like setting a kind reminder for your own heart to come home. Now, let's explore the first and most radical principle: you are not your thoughts. Your mind is a brilliant, relentless storyteller. It narrates your past as a saga of regret or triumph. It projects your future as a looming threat or a glittering promise. But here is the critical psychological insight, framed by ancient wisdom: you are the awareness that is watching the storyteller. Think of it this way. You are the vast, open sky. Your thoughts, your emotions, your physical sensations, these are the weather. Clouds, storms, brilliant sunsets, and gentle rains. The sky does not cling to the storm. It does not try to keep the perfect sunset. It holds it all, with boundless space. You are that sky. The problem is, we spend our entire lives lost in the weather, believing we are the storm, forgetting the vast, clear, and unchanging blue that is our true nature. The first practice, therefore, is not to change the weather, but to remember the sky. And how do we do that? We use the one anchor that is always present in the body, right now, the breath. The breath is your tether to the sky. It's immediate, direct, and free from stories. A simple practice, taught by the Buddha as the very foundation of mindfulness, is to just notice it. So, as you listen, let's try this. Don't force anything. Just tune in. Feel the air as it enters your nostrils. Is it cool? Is it warm? Simply notice. Feel your chest or your belly gently expand with the inflow. There is a natural, quiet pause at the top. Then, feel the soft release as the air leaves your body. A letting go. You are not trying to breathe deeply or perfectly. You are just being curious about the breath that is already happening. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. This simple phrase, known for millennia, is a mental handrail. When you find yourself lost in the storm of thought, it gives you something true and simple to come back to. This act of coming back is the entire path. Every time you notice you've been swept away by worry about tomorrow's meeting or regret over yesterday's words, and you gently return your attention to the physical sensation of breathing, you are doing profound work. You are strengthening the muscle of your awareness. You are teaching your nervous system that there is a safe harbor within you, always accessible. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity. Buddhism calls this bhavana, mind cultivation. They are two languages describing the same miracle: you can train your mind for peace. Let's continue. We've begun by remembering that we are the sky, not the weather. We've used the breath as a gentle anchor to that sky-like awareness. But what happens when the weather becomes a true tempest? Not just passing clouds of distraction, but a gale of anger, a downpour of grief, a clinging fog of anxiety that seems to erase the sky itself. Our instinct is to declare war on it. We see these emotional storms as invaders, as proof of our failure to be peaceful. This is where we move from foundational awareness to the alchemy of transformation. The Buddhist framework offers not a shield against the storm, but a way to understand its nature and find an unshakable shelter within it. The psychological insight here is a game changer. What you resist, not only persists, it gains strength. What you can be present with, can transform. Our emotional pain is often a layering of arrows. The Buddha taught the parable of the two arrows. The first arrow is life's inevitable pain, a loss, a criticism, a fear. It hits, and it hurts. But then, if we react with rage at the pain, with shame for feeling it, with stories about how it shouldn't be this way, we shoot a second arrow into the exact same wound. Most of our prolonged suffering is from this second arrow, our unskillful reaction to the initial hit. The practice, then, is to learn to feel the sting of the first arrow without automatically reaching for the quiver to fire a second. This is true courage. Not the absence of fear, but the intimate willingness to be present with fear. Let me offer you a new metaphor. Imagine that difficult feeling, a tight coil of anxiety in your gut, a hot flush of shame in your face, is a messenger. This messenger is clumsy, dressed in rags, and speaking a harsh, grating language. Your habitual reaction is to see the mud on its boots and slam the door, shouting, "I don't want what you're selling. Go away." The messenger just pounds louder, throwing its weight against the door. This is the second arrow. The practice of mindful compassion is to take a steadying breath, open the door, and invite the messenger in for tea. You don't have to like its message. You simply offer it a seat and listen. You offer your hospitable presence. This is holding the first arrow with curiosity, without adding the violence of rejection. I saw this unfold with a brilliant software engineer. His mind was a precision instrument for solving logic puzzles, but his emotions were a terrifying mystery. He described a recurring system crash of rage that would overtake him during high-pressure deadlines, alienating his team. He had tried to debug his anger, to rationally argue it away. It never worked. In a session, when he felt the familiar heat rising, I guided him not to analyze, but to feel. Where is it in your body? What's its texture? Its temperature? He closed his eyes, jaw tight. It's a black hole. In my chest. It's sucking everything in. I said, don't fight the gravity. Just observe it. You are the vast space around the black hole. He sat with it, his breath ragged at first, then slowly deepening. After several minutes, he opened his eyes, stunned. It's still a dense mass, he said, but it's not a black hole anymore. It's more like a heavy stone. And the space around it feels bigger. By shifting from fighting the emotion to investigating its raw sensory data, he changed his relationship to it. The system crash became a signal he could listen to, not a force that controlled him. This is the heart of what Buddhism terms vipassana, insight meditation. It's not about creating a state of blank tranquility. It's about developing such clear, non-judgmental awareness of your moment-to-moment experience that you see the fundamental truth of anicca, impermanence. You see that the rage is not a solid, permanent thing called my rage. It is a temporary, fluid event, a cascade of physical sensations, pressure, heat, mental movies, replaying the triggering event, and thought patterns. This is unfair. When you observe it closely, without buying the storyline, you witness it arise, peak, change, and pass. Everything does. This insight is the very essence of liberation. Let's practice with a minor irritation from your recent past. The person who cut you off in traffic. The thoughtless comment from a colleague. Drop the story of who did what for a moment. Just feel the emotional residue in your body. Is it a clenching in the jaw? A slight hunch in the shoulders? A familiar churning low in the belly? Place the light of your attention there, on those pure physical sensations. Breathe into that very area. Breathing in, I am aware of this sensation. Breathing out, I allow this sensation to be. You are not approving of the cause. You are simply acknowledging the present moment reality of the feeling. You are holding the first arrow with steady hands. It may soften, or it may not. The revolution is in the shift of relationship, from being consumed by the emotion to containing the emotion in compassionate awareness. This skill transforms our inner cosmos. Yet, Buddhism is an intrinsically relational philosophy. It understands our inner peace and outer peace are a single, woven fabric. The storms inside us create the climate between us. Therefore, the next, most challenging and rewarding step is to extend this quality of compassionate awareness into the very space between ourselves and others. How do we listen when someone else's storm is raging toward us? How do we speak from our clear sky when we're being pelted by their hail? This leads us to the twin arts of deep listening and loving speech, the practical engines of relational repair. But before we bridge that gap, let's anchor this teaching with one more story. A high school teacher, beloved by her students, was a secret fortress of exhaustion and simmering resentment. She gave everything, feeling constantly underappreciated. The emotional weight sat in her lower back as a constant, dull ache. One evening, grading papers, the ache flared into sharp pain. Frustrated, she lay on the floor. Instead of spiraling into thoughts of unfairness, she remembered the practice. She breathed directly into the pain, not to make it leave, but to be with it. "Okay," she whispered to her back, "you have my full attention." As she lay there, breathing, a wave of grief surfaced, not for her job, but for her own inner child who also felt she had to earn love through perfect service. She cried, not from pain, but from release. The physical pain eased significantly that night. She told me later, "I realized my back wasn't my problem. It was my ally. It was the only part of me brave enough to scream what my heart was whispering, I am tired. I need care." She began to listen, and her life began to change. This is the path of intimate bravery. It asks us to turn toward what frightens us within ourselves. It asks us to offer hospitality to our own inner messengers, however awkward their arrival. This is not passive resignation, it is active, courageous friendship with your entire experience. From this inner friendship, a new resilience is born, not the brittle strength of a wall, but the flexible, enduring strength of a deep-rooted tree able to sway in the fiercest wind without breaking. Let's continue, and begin the sacred work of mending what lies between us. We've learned to sit in compassionate awareness with our own inner weather. Now, imagine the storm is external. It arrives in the form of harsh words, a cold silence, or a look of blame. Our nervous system, wired for survival, instantly codes this as a threat. The ancient circuitry fires, prepare to fight, to flee, or to freeze. We retaliate, we withdraw, or we shut down. This is the genesis of every prolonged conflict, the mortar for every wall of resentment. Buddhism offers a counterintuitive and profoundly healing practice here, deep listening. Not listening to craft your rebuttal, but listening with the singular, sacred intention to help the other person suffer less. This practice rests on a foundational psychological truth: suffering expressed as aggression is still suffering. When someone speaks or acts from anger, fear, or cruelty, they are showing you the manifestation of their own unattended pain. They are feeling the sting of their first arrow, and in their confusion, they are often firing second arrows wildly. Sometimes at you. If you react by firing your own second arrow, your defense, your counterattack, your righteous indignation, you only perpetuate a cycle of mutual wounding. You add more arrows to the air. Deep listening is the practice of laying down your quiver. It is the creation of a sanctuary made of silence and full attention, where the other person can, perhaps for the first time, safely express the ache beneath their anger. Your role is not to agree, not to correct inaccuracies, not to solve their problem in that moment. Your sole purpose is to listen so completely that they feel, in their bones, that they have been truly heard. In that profound experience of being received, their suffering often begins to metabolize all on its own. This is what the Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh called compassionate listening, a practice he used in dialogues between soldiers who had been enemies. If it can build bridges there, imagine its power in your living room. The essential prerequisite is to have first practiced holding your own pain. You must have developed some stability in your own inner sky so you can hold space for their thunder without being flooded by it or reflexively launching lightning of your own. You listen with your entire being. Your eyes soft and receptive, your body relaxed and open, your mind completely focused on their words, their tone, and the unspoken ache beneath them. You are listening for the hurt, not just the headline. I remember a couple, partners in a small business and in life, whose relationship had become a tense boardroom negotiation. Every discussion about finances or chores was a strategic battle. The love was buried under spreadsheets of grievances. During a retreat, they were guided through a listening exercise. They were to face each other, and for 5 minutes, one would speak while the other only listened, not uttering a single word in response. The speaker was to talk not about facts, but about fears. The wife went first. She began, "My fear is that this business will fail and it will be my fault, and you'll look at me with disappointment." She started to cry. "My fear is that we're just co-workers now, not partners in love." The husband, who had braced for a list of his failures, sat utterly still, just listening. When it was his turn to speak, his voice was thick. "My fear," he said, "is that I'm not enough, that my efforts are invisible and that you're staying with me out of obligation, not desire." They didn't solve a single logistical problem that day. But they touched the raw, tender truth beneath the problems. The dynamic shifted from adversarial to allied. They were no longer debating points. They were sharing vulnerabilities. The wall between them became a window. This practice requires what we can call mindfulness of compassion. You consciously cultivate a feeling of compassion in your heart as you listen. You might silently repeat a phrase like, "This is a person in pain. May my listening offer relief." This internal mantra acts as armor for your own heart. When you hear bitterness or blame, you learn to hear past the words to the wounded person speaking them. It changes the sound of everything. Now, speaking is the other vital half of this bridge. If deep listening is the art of sacred reception, then loving speech is the art of truthful, compassionate offering. This is not nice speech, nor is it conflict avoidance. It is speech that is both authentic and kind, whose goal is not victory, but connection and understanding. Its structure is powerful because it is rooted in vulnerability. 1. Begin with a gentle, connecting phrase. "What matters most to me is our relationship, and I'm struggling with something I'd like to share." 2. State your observation without blame. "I noticed that when we talked about the vacation plans, we both seemed to get frustrated." 3. Name your own feeling and take responsibility for your part. "I felt anxious about the cost and I reacted by shutting down, which probably made you feel unheard. I'm sorry for that." 4. Express a genuine desire to understand. "I imagine you were feeling excited and maybe dismissed. Can you help me understand what that was like for you?" This approach disarms because it leads with honesty about your own experience, not an indictment of theirs. It speaks to the person behind the position. A father told me of his breakthrough with his teenage daughter. She had become a master of the defensive eye roll. Every question felt like an interrogation. One evening, instead of asking, "How was your day?" which would be met with, "Fine," he used the template. He sat beside her and said, "I find myself missing our conversations lately. I think I've been asking questions that feel like checking up on you, and that must be annoying. I'm sorry. I'm just worried I'm losing touch with you, and that's my fear talking. Can you tell me what it's like when I come into your room like that?" She looked at him, her defensive armor visibly softening. After a long silence, she said, "It feels like I'm being graded. Like nothing I do is just for me anymore. For the first time in months, they had a real conversation. He listened. He didn't defend. He just understood. The door that had been slammed shut was now cracked open. These two practices, deep listening and loving speech, are the practical application of the inner peace we cultivate. They are how you take the clarity of your own sky and use it to help clear the weather between you and another. They turn insight into action, and compassion into concrete communication. But the Buddhist view expands this even further. It suggests that our personal emotional storms are not islands. We inherit the emotional climate, the patterns of fear, anger, and coping, from our family lines, from our ancestors, from our culture. This isn't merely mystical, it's observable in the science of epigenetics and family systems theory. When you work to soothe your own inherited anxiety, you may be calming the nervous system of your grandmother. When you learn to transform your reactive anger, you might be breaking a chain for your children. Your personal healing becomes a ritual of repair for your entire lineage. This understanding adds a profound layer of meaning to the work. You are not just fixing a problem, you are participating in a timeless healing. Let's continue into the deeper currents of our being. We've learned to be present with our inner weather and to build bridges of understanding between hearts. Yet some emotional patterns feel older than our own stories. A fear with no logical source. A sorrow that rises like a hidden tide. The Buddhist insight of interbeing offers a freeing perspective here. Your pain is not yours alone. It flows through you like a river, fed by streams from your ancestors, your family's history, the very culture that shaped you. You are not an isolated self. You are a living intersection of countless lives. That sense of never being quite good enough, the anxiety that shadows your success, the defensive anger that flares too quickly, these may not have started with you. They could be echoes. Echoes of a parent's unspoken struggles, a grandparent's survival fears, generations of untended wounds. This isn't about blame, it's about context. Seeing this, we trade personal shame for profound understanding, and from understanding grows compassion, for ourselves and for the lineage we carry. The practice becomes one of acknowledging the whole tapestry. When a deep, familiar emotional pattern stirs, pause. Place a hand over your heart. With mindful curiosity, ask, whose pain might this also be? Feel the emotion as a shape, a weight, a temperature in your body. Then, with your next out-breath, expand your awareness around it. Breathing in, I feel this old weight. Breathing out, I hold this weight with compassion for all who have carried it. You transform private suffering into an act of shared healing. I remember a woman, a gifted physician, who was plagued by a paralyzing fear of making a critical error, though her record was impeccable. It went beyond healthy caution. In exploring her history, we learned her great-grandmother was a midwife in a time of great poverty and loss, where a simple complication could mean tragedy. The weight of that responsibility, the shadow of that grief, had traveled silently down the generations. For my client, the sterile modern hospital still held the echo of that ancestral dread. In a guided reflection, she imagined sending a message back through time, I see your burden. Your care lives on in me. I honor your vigilance by practicing with both skill and peace. She didn't erase her professional caution, but she released the ghost of ancestral trauma from it. The fear became a respectful guide, not a tyrannical ruler. From this place of understanding our deep roots, we can consciously cultivate a new inheritance, deliberate joy. We often wait for joy to happen to us. Buddhism teaches that joy, mudita, is a capacity we can strengthen. It is the heart's ability to resonate with happiness, in others, and in the simple, present moment facts of our own existence. The practice is disarmingly simple. Note what is already holding you. Throughout your day, mentally pause to register the often invisible supports. I can feel the solid floor beneath my feet. I can see light through the window. I have access to clean water. I recall a moment of kindness from this week. This isn't positive thinking. It is factual grounding. It counters the brain's ancient, negativity bias by actively directing attention to the nourishment that is already here. A man who had lost his job told me how this practice saved him. In the pit of his despair, a friend told him, "For 1 week, your only job is to notice 5 things a day that aren't a catastrophe." The first day, he struggled. The coffee was hot. The sky was blue. My chair is comfortable. The bird at the feeder is red. I took a full breath. It felt trivial, even absurd. But by day 7, something had shifted. I started seeing supports everywhere, he said. The integrity of the walls around me. The fact that my heart kept beating without my command. It didn't magically find me a job, but it rebuilt the ground beneath me so I wasn't falling through panic. I could finally think clearly again. He wasn't grateful because things were good. He found a foundation of enough from which to face what was difficult. This cultivation of joy completes our emotional ecology. It's not about denying pain, but about tending the entire garden of the heart. If we only water the seeds of fear and lack, that is what will dominate our inner landscape. By consciously watering the seeds of appreciation and connection, we grow resilience. We become less dependent on external conditions for our sense of well-being. We have journeyed from mindful breathing, through embracing our emotions, to healing communication, through understanding inherited patterns, to nurturing joy. This is a complete path for a human life. It requires no dogma, only attentive, compassionate experimentation. So, how do we live this? We weave it into the ordinary. Let waiting in line be a chance to feel your feet on the ground and your breath in your body. Let the first sip of tea be a full experience of taste, warmth, and aroma. When irritation arises, pause to feel its physical signature before speaking. When listening, inwardly wish for the other person's suffering to ease. Each night, let one true, good thing from the day imprint itself on your heart. Freedom is built here, in these small, conscious returns to the reality of the present moment, a moment that is always more supportive, more workable, than the stories we tell about it. Let's continue, and bring all of these threads together into the fabric of a single day. We have explored the territory, the sky of awareness, the weather of emotions, the bridges of communication, the deep roots of lineage, and the conscious cultivation of joy. This is not a philosophy to be admired, but a practice to be lived. The ultimate question becomes, how do you walk through an ordinary Tuesday with the dignity of a free person? How does wisdom meet the morning commute, the crowded inbox, the difficult conversation, the weary evening? This is where the Buddhist path reveals its true genius, not as an escape from life, but as a profound artistry within it. The integration happens through mindful routines. Not as another set of chores, but as sacred rituals that continually return you to presence. Your day becomes a series of gentle homecomings. Let's walk through one, together. The morning. Instead of reaching for your phone and catapulting into the world's demands, grant yourself the grace of 3 conscious breaths while still in bed. Feel the weight of your body supported. Feel the air moving in and out. Set a simple intention: today, I will return to my breath as my anchor. I will walk as if the earth is kissing my feet. This isn't a goal to achieve, but a direction to face. The transitions, these are your hidden sanctuaries. The pause at the red light. The moment your hand touches the doorknob at work. The walk from your car to the building. Instead of filling these micro-moments with mental noise, claim them. For the duration of one red light, just sit. Feel the seat beneath you. Listen to the idle of the engine without judgment. As you touch the doorknob, feel its cool, solid reality. Let it bring you completely into the here before you enter the there. These are acts of sovereign reclamation. A businessman told me how this practice of doorknob mindfulness changed his leadership. He had a habit of storming into the office, his mind already racing with problems, which set a tense tone for his entire team. He began pausing at his office door, taking one full breath, and feeling the metal knob in his hand. It became a circuit breaker, he said. That one breath created a space between the chaos in my head and the person about to walk in. I started entering the room present, not preoccupied. My team noticed immediately. They said the energy of the room softened. I was leading from a calmer center, and it gave everyone permission to breathe. During work, here, we practice what might be called engaged mindfulness. You are not trying to be meditative instead of working. You are bringing a meditative quality to the work itself. When writing an email, be fully with the writing. Feel your fingers on the keys. Sense the intention behind your words. When in a meeting, listen with your whole body. Notice when your mind drifts to formulating a response, and gently return to the speaker's actual words. The task itself becomes the object of your concentration. I recall a graphic designer who was constantly overwhelmed by deadlines and client feedback. She began a practice of single-tasking immersion. For 1-hour blocks, she would close all other tabs and windows. Her mantra was, all that exists is this image, this cursor, and my breath. At first, it felt constraining. But soon, she entered a state of flow more easily. The quality of her work improved because her attention was undiluted. More surprisingly, her anxiety diminished. I realized my panic wasn't about the work, she said. It was about the swirling phantom of all the other work. When I gave my full citizenship to the one task in front of me, the phantoms disappeared. I was just designing. In conflict, this is the fire where our practice is tempered. When you feel the heat of anger or defensiveness rise, your training kicks in. First, stop. It's the most powerful spiritual tool. Stop talking. Stop moving. Feel your feet. Feel the breath that is likely shallow and quick. This creates a critical gap. In that gap, remember the 2 arrows. Is this feeling the first arrow of pain, or am I about to shoot the second arrow of blame? Then, if possible, use the template of loving speech. If it's not possible, simply saying, I need a moment to process this, is an act of wisdom that honors both you and the other person. A mother used this with her teenage son during a heated argument about grades. She felt her face flush and her words sharpening. Instead of unleashing them, she held up a finger, closed her eyes, and took 3 audible breaths. Her son stared, shocked out of his own anger. She then said, "I am feeling too reactive right now to be the mom you deserve. I need 10 minutes. Let's both cool down and then talk." When they reconvened, the emotional charge had dissipated. They could actually discuss the problem. Her son later admitted, "When you did that, it showed me you cared more about us than about being right." The evening, this is a time for gentle recollection and release. As you lie down, scan your body with kindness. Where did you hold the day? In your jaw? Your shoulders? Offer those places a breath of softness. Then, practice a form of gratitude that includes everything. Not just, "I'm grateful for my home," but, "I am grateful for the lesson in patience that difficult client offered me today." This reframes the entire day as a curriculum for your growth, where every moment, pleasant or unpleasant, had value. A nurse in a high-stress ICU started this practice. Her nights were haunted by the day's traumas. She began a 3-step ritual. First, she would wash her hands meticulously, imagining she was literally washing the day away. Then, she would sit and name one skill she used that day: compassion in holding a grieving family's hand, precision in administering medication. Finally, she would whisper, "I served to the best of my ability today. Now I release it." This ritual created a psychic boundary between her profound work and her essential rest. She stopped carrying the hospital home in her nervous system. This is the art of the daily Dharma, the teaching in the ordinary. Your freedom isn't found in a distant, quiet monastery. It is forged right here, in the clutter and beauty of your everyday life. Each mindful return to the breath, each conscious step, each pause before a reaction, is a stitch in the garment of your liberation. You are not practicing to become a Buddhist. You are practicing to become fully, compassionately, and resiliently human. The poet Rumi wrote, "Live life as if everything is rigged in your favor." The Buddhist interpretation of this might be, live life as if every moment, the blissful, the boring, and the brutal, is your teacher, and presence is your curriculum. When you walk through your day with this orientation, life itself becomes your monastery, and every encounter becomes a practice session in awareness, compassion, and freedom. Let's continue, and turn our attention to one of the most powerful yet misunderstood aspects of this path: non-attachment. This word often conjures images of cold detachment, of not caring, of living a life stripped of color and love. This is a profound misunderstanding. In the Buddhist sense, non-attachment is not the opposite of love, it is the very thing that makes deep, fearless love possible. It is not about letting go of people or things, but about letting go of the suffering we create by our clinging to fixed ideas about them. The psychological insight here is about the nature of craving and aversion. Suffering arises not from the object itself, but from our mental relationship to it. Our desperate grip on what we want, and our frantic push against what we don't want. Non-attachment is the wise middle way. It is the ability to fully engage with life, to love deeply, to work passionately, to appreciate beauty, while simultaneously holding the truth of impermanence. It is to cherish the rose, knowing its petals will fall, without loving it any less. In fact, This knowing can make your appreciation more poignant, more real. Think of it as holding with open hands. When you clutch something tightly in a closed fist, you strain your hand, you obscure the object, and you lose the ability to receive anything else. An open palm can both hold the precious stone and feel the breeze. It can offer and receive. Non-attachment is this open-palmed way of being in the world. I worked with a man who was a passionate, successful chef. His identity was fused to his restaurant's reputation. Every negative review was a personal wound. Every slow night felt like a judgment on his worth. He lived in constant anxiety. The practice for him began with a simple, terrifying question: who are you without the restaurant? He had no answer. We practiced envisioning losing it all: the building, the accolades, the title. At first, it triggered panic. But as he sat with the imagined emptiness, something else emerged: a man who loved the scent of herbs, the alchemy of flavor, the shared joy of a good meal. He realized he had been clinging to the symbol of his passion, the successful restaurant, so tightly he was strangling the passion itself, the love of cooking. He began to cook at a homeless shelter once a week, anonymously. There, with no reviews, no prestige, he rediscovered the pure joy of the craft. His grip on his success loosened. Ironically, his anxiety vanished, and his restaurant thrived with a new, genuine energy. He learned to hold his work in an open palm. So how do we practice this? We start small, with our daily disappointments and clingings. You crave a particular outcome in a meeting. Notice the tension that craving creates in your body. Breathe into it, and whisper to yourself, I am committed, but I am not attached to the exact form of the result. You are averse to a difficult task. Feel the resistance. Breathe, and say, this is what is here now. Let me meet it. This is not passive resignation. It is active, graceful engagement without the added layer of mental struggle. This leads to the practice of equanimity, a balanced heart. In Buddhism, this is called upekkha. It is the ability to remain centered and compassionate in the midst of life's inevitable ups and downs, without being thrown into elation or despair. It is the deep understanding that praise and blame, gain and loss, pleasure and pain are the 8 worldly winds that always blow. Equanimity is not about not feeling. It's about not being blown over. You feel the joy of praise, but you don't build your identity on it. You feel the sting of blame, but you don't let it define you. A public school teacher embodied this for me. Her classroom was chaotic, her resources scarce, and criticism from administrators was constant. She described feeling like a ping-pong ball. Then she adopted a mantra: I am planting seeds I may never see grow. She focused entirely on the quality of her presence with each child. The seed planting action within her control, and released her attachment to the immediate results, test scores, perfect quiet, and the external opinions. She stopped being battered by the winds of daily crisis and admin reports. Her calm became a sanctuary for her students. She said, I stopped needing my situation to be different to be at peace. I found my peace in the very heart of the situation, in the act of showing up with love. The chaos didn't disappear, but my war with it did. This inner stance of open-handed engagement is the foundation for the final piece, compassionate action in the world. Often, we believe we must be perfectly healed and peaceful before we can help others. Buddhism turns this on its head. The path is walked by helping. Your own heart is healed in the act of extending it. When you move through your world with non-attached, balanced compassion, you become a natural force for good. Your actions arise not from a need to be a hero or to fix others, but from a clear-seeing recognition of shared humanity. You see a colleague in distress. Instead of being overwhelmed by their emotion or rushing in with unsolicited advice, both forms of attachment to an outcome, you simply offer a steady, listening presence. That is compassionate action. You see an injustice. Instead of reacting from hot, blinded rage, which often burns out or causes collateral damage, you respond from a place of clear, cool determination. That is compassionate action. It is effective because it is sustainable and wise. An environmental lawyer shared her transformation. She used to fight with burning hatred for the polluters, which left her exhausted and bitter. She began to integrate mindfulness, not to soften her resolve, but to strengthen it. She learned to see the corporate executives not as cartoon villains, but as human beings trapped in a system of greed and fear. Her legal arguments became sharper, more fact-based, and less emotionally reactive. She started from common ground, a desire for security, for legacy, and argued more effectively. I didn't have to hate them to fight passionately against their actions, she said. In fact, when the hate cleared, my vision got sharper. My compassion was for the planet and all life, which included seeing the humanity even in my opponents. This made me a more formidable advocate, not a weaker one. This is the full circle of the path. From personal awareness, to emotional mastery, to relational healing, to understanding our place in a vast web, to integrating it all into daily life, to finally engaging the world from a place of unshakable, open-hearted balance. You are not withdrawing from life. You are diving into its very depths, armed not with weapons, but with clarity and care. You become a calm center in a turning world, not by hiding from the storm, but by understanding its nature. And from that center, your every action, word, and thought naturally contributes to the healing of the whole. Let's continue, and address the quiet, persistent question that often arises on this path. What about when I fail? When I snap in anger, when I forget to breathe for an entire stressful day, when I find myself lost in old stories of inadequacy. It's crucial to understand that the path is not paved with perfect moments, but with gentle returns. The practice is not in never falling, but in the quality of how you stand back up. This is where the Buddhist teaching of beginner's mind and self-compassion becomes your most essential refuge. Think of your awareness as a muscle. When you go to the gym and lift a weight, the growth doesn't happen during the perfect lift. It happens in the slight tear of the muscle fiber, and then in the body's compassionate process of repair and strengthening. Your lapses are not failures. They are the slight tears that precede growth. The crucial element is the repair, and that repair is kind awareness. Beating yourself up for losing your temper is simply lifting another, heavier weight of shame. It causes more tearing without allowing for healing. The mindful return is the healing. So, the next time you fail at being peaceful, try this radical approach. The moment you realize you've been shouting, or scrolling mindlessly for an hour, or drowning in worry, pause and say to yourself, "Ah, I have wandered. Welcome back." Place a hand on your heart. Feel the emotional aftermath in your body, the heat of shame, the clench of regret. Breathe into that very feeling. This is not letting yourself off the hook, it is moving the hook from the mind that judges to the heart that understands. This is how you transform a lapse into a lesson, and a lesson into deeper resilience. A recovering perfectionist, a university professor, shared her breakthrough with this. She would prepare flawless lectures, but if she stumbled over a single word or a student looked bored, she would spiral into self-criticism that ruined her day. Her mantra became, "The stumble is the teaching." When she fumbled, she would acknowledge it aloud to the class with a gentle smile. "It seems my tongue has decided to take a different path than my brain. Let's try that again." This simple act of acknowledging imperfection without shame did two things: it humanized her to her students, and, more importantly, it reprogrammed her own nervous system. The stumble was no longer a threat to her identity, it became a moment of shared humanity and a chance to practice grace under pressure. Her teaching became more fluid, more connected, and far less stressful. This leads to the profound practice of forgiveness, starting with yourself. In the Buddhist framework, holding on to self-resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person, your past self, to die. Forgiveness is not saying what you did was okay. It is saying, I will no longer carry the burning coal of this regret, I choose to set it down so my hands are free to create something new. It is an act of pragmatism and profound self-care. A guided practice for this. Bring to mind a recent mistake, a moment you regret. Feel the physical discomfort of remembering it. Now, imagine your present, wiser self stepping into that past scene. See your past self, acting from confusion, fear, or habit. From your current perspective, can you see the suffering or ignorance that led to that action? Now, from your heart, send that past version of you a message of understanding. I see you were doing the best you could with the awareness you had. I forgive you. I release you from this burden. Breathe that release into your body. This is not exoneration, it is liberation. This inner work of return and forgiveness naturally extends outward. As you become more compassionate with your own flaws and lapses, your capacity for forgiving others expands exponentially. You begin to see their reactive behaviors not as personal attacks, but as their own lapses, their own moments of being lost. You can hold boundaries with firmness and clarity, but without the searing heat of hatred. You respond from your center, rather than react from your wound. I remember a community mediator who worked with neighborhood disputes. He said the single biggest shift happened when he stopped trying to get parties to agree, and instead guided each person to express their own underlying fear. The man yelling about his neighbor's tree dropping leaves was, underneath, afraid of his property losing value, which was tied to his fear of insecurity in retirement. The tree owner was afraid of being controlled and disrespected. When they heard each other's fears, not the complaints about leaves, the conflict lost its venom. They could then problem solve. How can we address your need for security and your need for respect? Forgiveness for the harsh words came naturally when they saw the scared human behind them. Finally, we come to the concept of the Bodhisattva vow in Mahayana Buddhism, the aspiration to attain awakening not for oneself alone, but for the benefit of all beings. This may sound lofty, but its practical application is immediate and beautiful. It means orienting your daily practice outward. You sit in meditation not just to calm your own mind, but to cultivate a peace you can then offer to your family, your workplace, the grocery store clerk. You practice patience in traffic, consciously sending wishes of safety to other drivers. This transforms practice from a self-improvement project into a sacred offering. Your own healing becomes a gift to the world. A nurse in a pediatric ward told me she began dedicating her morning meditation to her young patients. Before my shift, I would sit and visualize sending a blanket of calm, safe energy over the entire ward. I'd see the children resting easier, the parents feeling a moment of peace. Did it magically heal them? No. But it changed me. I walked onto the ward not as a depleted helper, but as a carrier of that intention. I was less drained, more present. And sometimes, parents would remark on a strangely peaceful night. Her personal practice became a subtle, powerful form of service. This is the ultimate integration. Your path is not a straight line ascending a mountain. It is a spiral. You circle back to the same lessons, patience, compassion, presence, but each time from a slightly higher vantage point, with a little more wisdom, a little more grace. You fall, you return, you forgive, you extend. This is the dance of a conscious life. So tonight, if you find your mind racing with the day's unfinished business or tomorrow's worries, remember this spiral. You are not failing. You are simply on the curve of the spiral that feels like a repetition. Bring a hand to your heart. Breathe. Whisper, I am here. And here is enough. In that moment of kind return, you are not just practicing mindfulness. You are embodying the very freedom you seek. And so we arrive here, together, at the end of this journey and the beginning of your own. We have traveled from the first conscious breath to the last ripple of compassionate action. We have sat with storms and learned to sense the sky that holds them. We have mended bridges with listening and speech. We have touched the ancient roots of our pain and chosen to water seeds of joy. We have walked through ordinary days with extraordinary attention. We have fallen, returned, and forgiven. We have seen how our own peace becomes an offering to the world. This is not a conclusion, because awareness has no end. It is an opening. The Buddha's core revelation was not a complex theology. It was a simple, profound map of cause and effect. With mindfulness, suffering can be understood. With understanding, it can be released. You now hold that map. You know the landmarks, the breath, the body, the feeling, the mind. You know the tools, gentle attention, compassionate curiosity, deep listening, loving speech. The territory is your own life. Your practice now is not to achieve a permanent state of bliss. It is to cultivate a permanent friendship with your own experience. To meet each moment, the joyful, the painful, the boring, not as an enemy or a distraction, but as your most honest teacher. Freedom is found in this friendship. It is the freedom to feel anger without being ruled by it. To feel joy without clinging to it. To love without the fear of loss strangling your heart. Remember the metaphor of the sky. You are not the weather of passing thoughts and emotions. You are the vast, aware space that allows the weather to be. Your practice is simply to remember the sky, again and again. Each breath is a remembering. Each mindful step is a remembering. Each pause before a reactive word is a remembering. So, as you move forward from this moment, do not burden yourself with the idea of getting it all right. There is no right. There is only true. True to this breath. True to this feeling. True to this moment's need for kindness. Whether for yourself or for another. Carry one question with you as a gentle guide: am I meeting this moment with awareness, or am I lost in a story about it? This question is your compass. When you are lost, it will point you back to the direct experience of life happening now, in the body, in the senses, in the heart. You are ready. You have always been ready. The path is not somewhere else. It is made with each conscious step you take on the ground of your own life. Walk gently. Walk surely. You are not alone. In every mindful breath taken across the world, there is companionship. In every act of courageously faced fear, there is solidarity. In every moment of compassion, the entire web of life grows stronger. May you trust the peace you find in your own quiet breaths. May you walk through your world with the dignity of your inherent freedom. May your presence be a gentle light in the darkness of confusion. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free. Thank you for walking this path with me. Welcome home.